Rashi, we are in Parshas Teitzei. We're in the fifth reading, which is chapter 23, verse 25. Lots of mitzvahs in this week's Parsha, and we have one right in front of us. Okay, verse 25. Kisov, when you will come, Bikerem, into a vineyard, Re'echa, of your friend. V'achalta anavim, and you may eat grapes, Kenavshecha, according to your desire. Savecha, that you will be satiated. Ve'el keliecha loisiten, but to your vessel don't put any. So what's this talking about? It's talking about someone who's a worker, who's coming to work in the vineyard of his friend, his neighbor. All right, let's see Rashi. When you come into the vineyard of your fellow Payol Kosumidaber, this is speaking about a Payol, which means a worker, right? Someone who's been hired, right? Because it can't mean anybody that can walk into the vineyard and take whatever, and eat whatever they want. It means an employer, employee, not an employer, an employee. He's an employee. Kenavshecha, you can eat to your heart's desire. What does that mean? Kamashatirtza, as much as you want. Savecha, until you're full, but not overeating. So in other words, if you are a hired worker in someone's field and you're picking grapes, you can eat the grapes as much as you need to be satiated, but not overeating. But you may not put it into the vessel. Meaning, Mikan, from here we learn, Torah is speaking here by the time of harvest. When you put the grapes, the kelav shebalabayis, into the vessel of the owner, right? You're harvesting the grapes, you're putting them into vessels of the owner. But if he comes to dig, or the kashkosh, or to expose roots, or any other work prior to harvesting, he's not allowed to eat. It's only because it's a harvest time, so he's allowed to eat, because he's putting it into the vessels of the owner. So now he can also eat, but he can't put it into his vessels and take home. As he can only eat on the job what he needs to be satiated. Anything more, he's not allowed to. He's not allowed to eat. But that's again only harvest time.
Where does he get? How does he get the interpretation that it's harvest time?
Because
is that from before.
Good question. That
there's no harvest. It doesn't say harvest.
That's a very good question, Shimalay. Now you're really thinking. Your mother's is present.
I've been in that situation where I was staying in someone's vineyard, buying a vineyard or orange yard actually, and I could eat all the oranges I wanted, but I couldn't take any out.
That's exactly what the verse says here, right? Biblical teachings over here. So how do we know that?
Yeah.
Because it's saying to your vessel, there's an inference here. To your vessel, you can't put it, but someone else's vessel, you could. Who's that? The owner. The owner, because that's what you were hired for. Meaning you were hired, it's harvest time, and you were hired to do that. But if you were hired at not harvest time, right, and to take, then you're not allowed to. Only here the Torah is giving you.
Does it say that it's harvest time? Is that?
I just think no. I gave you the inference. I just gave the inference right now. To your vessel, you can't put the grapes, but in someone else's vessels, you could. The owners. There's an inference here.
It's inferred,
right? Yeah. This is, remember that do you know what shorthand is? Do you know what shorthand is?
Of course.
So inferred in shorthand is the longhand. But it's only inferred. This is shorthand over here. That's why we have an oral Torah, right? We have the oral Torah to explain the shorthand. So Rashi is giving us the inference of the shorthand. That's all. Okay?
Right.
Now we continue. But that was an excellent question. Kisavai, when you come, can make l'chaim on a coffee, on a water, or you can come and learn and say, and that will be a real l'chaim.
Have a
Chaim
wonderful,
v'rocha.
the Danish there, have a piece. Have a good day.
Killer. Okay.
There's still ones if you want. Still ones.
Chiller.
Shabbos. Okay, kisava becomes when you enter your the kamas means a standing grain of your neighbor. The katafta mililos biadecha. You can pick ears with your hand. The chermash. It doesn't necessarily mean corn. It means any kind of grain.
Years.
Yeah, I think ears are not just for corn necessarily. I don't think so, but I don't know. Not such a farmer, so.
Yeah.
So, because it is about grain, right? But do not lift a sickle upon your neighbor standing grain. So the truth is, I'm not exactly clear with but here Rashi says, "Kisova becomes re'echa" when you're coming right out of a but this is also speaking about a worker, someone who's an employer in a grain field to work there, right?
The interpretation, as I would understand it, would be that you can pick the corn by hand. When you pick corn by hand, it's a slow process. You're picking one at a time. So basically, you can pick it. I don't know what he's gonna do with it, because you can't eat the corn like you could with grapes, for example. Okay, but when you use a sickle, you're cutting off many ears of corn.
Right.
So the idea is that you're taking a lot of corn out in order to take it away.
So it's speaking about grain, and it's not speaking about corn specifically, right? It's speaking about any kind of grain, because all grain you use a sickle, right? Not just corn,
Okay.
right? So actually, corn, I wonder if you use a sickle or you do take them individually. I would think you take them individually,
Yeah.
corn,
Yeah.
because they need to be individually ripened. So I don't think a sickle, I think this is actually not about corn. I think this is about grain, right? So what's interesting over here is that, right, yeah, so you can take ears with your hand, which means just a part of the stalk itself, as opposed to, but that doesn't make sense, because it doesn't say here you're gonna eat it. Then what do you eat? You're not eating. Well, you're gonna take grain and eat it like that? You can't eat it like that.
You have to be at home.
And seemingly it's not to be brought home. I mean, so Rashi is not explaining over here, because I'm not clear what this means. Right? Because the previous one was eating in the vineyard, right? Fine. What are you doing over here? So you could take individual ears, but what, you're going to eat it like that in the field? It doesn't make sense, right? So does it mean to take it home, like you said?
Doesn't say not.
It doesn't say not to, so maybe that's what it means, but Rashi doesn't address it, interestingly. Okay, next chapter. We are in chapter now 24, verse 1. Ki yikach ish isha.
Very short.
Yeah, when a man takes a woman, or bala, and he's intimate with her, and if it will be that he will not, that she will not be pleasing in his eyes, because he found something, ervas davar, something that was a debasement, or how's it translate over here? Huh?
Mole on her nose.
No. Morality. No, ervas davar is a moral act, a moral thing. The cause of, let's say, for Krises, he should write for her a book of cutting, which means a book. It means a bill of divorce, right? I'm just giving you the exact translation. Sefer means a book, but it means a bill of cutting, which means divorce. You're cutting your connection. But also then you have to place it in her hand, v'shilcha, and he has to send her away from his house. Rashi. In number
What do
one,
you see cutting?
the word krisis
Oh,
means
because
to cut.
you're doing the translation from the Hebrew.
No, I'm doing the literal translation. I did the literal. It means
I did, you're doing a
divorce.
translation, because in my translation, it doesn't use the word cutting.
I know. It means divorce. It means divorce, but the actual word means to cut.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Right? Like
Cutting the
by if you
relationship.
if you eat chametz on Pesach, right? You get kares. Same word. Kares means being cut off from God.
Right.
Right? You get early death. What it
Okay.
means translated to early death, right?
Right.
That's what kares means. It's the same root word over here, right? For those who came to that class, who learned Sharashim, so they became a little, they understand. So I'm just giving you the root. It means to cut. So it means you're cutting the relationship,
Right.
right? But what is in the context over here, it means divorce.
Right.
Okay. So Rashi, you found in her a matter of immorality, mitzvah lagarsha, that becomes an obligation to divorce her, shaloi timsa, chein be'enav, should not find favor in his eyes, which is interesting, this concept, which is,
It is interesting.
so the way it's under, we don't paskin this way in law today, that because it was something, right, that therefore, but it is a grounds for divorce. And the way Rashi is learning the verse, which is very interesting, because it says that she doesn't find favor in his eyes. So Rashi is saying that that she should not find favor. In other words, in keeping her. Again, this is a biblical, and this is not the way we actually deal with things today. And we're in Golos. Which is, by the way, the chorus is the same thing. Chorus meant, it's wow, interesting, the two ideas, how they come together. Chorus means early death, right? Right? Does that occur now?
Good.
So if you recall, when we learned in the third part of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe asked in chapter 4 of Higeres Tshuva that we see the Torah speaks about kares. We see a lot of people that live long and they do those sins. So in a time of exile, it's a different story. So in time of exile, kares, early death, does not necessarily happen today, and it's actually something that gives us the opportunity to do tshuva. We're back in the times when the presence of God was palpable. That would be different. So biblical laws talking when there's a very clear black and white, when the laws of the Torah are black and white, and therefore the presence of God is very clear. So this is what the law would be. Today, the law is not like that. Okay.
Yes. Thank God.
By the way, just to let you know, also, people ask about Rashi doesn't bring it up over here, and I don't know why, but I guess it's simple, meaning it's not an issue. But the halacha is just like a man takes a woman doesn't take a man. Okay, a woman doesn't take a man, and if she does, right, it's invalid wedding. Right. In other words, if she says to him, "You are betrothed to me," no such thing. He has to say to her, right? And just like he initiated the connection, after all, it's his side that was taken away from him when God created Eve, created Chava. He took a side of him, so he's got to take back his side, that which is a part of him. So therefore, it's a man, right? And when a man takes out a woman, he pays. She doesn't pay. You know why? Because it's a man seeking out the woman and seeking out that which is missing in him, and therefore in the marriage, it's also he's taking her. So therefore, if he took her when they're getting divorced, he has to initiate the separation. It says, therefore, he has to give the bill of the divorce in her hand. Right? That she is now onto her own. If it doesn't reach her, she's not divorced.
Like the get.
We're talking about the get. Exactly what we're talking about. This is the get.
That's exactly what.
Bill of divorce is a get.
I know,
But that's what we're talking, that's what we
Right.
just spoke about.
right?
No, it's not like the get. I'm talking about the get.
Right.
It is the get that I'm talking about.
Some rabbis in Orthodox synagogues, they make the groom sign a get from the get-go.
Yeah, that's invalid. That's invalid.
Because they don't ask his permission, they just want to give it if it's necessary.
I say, but that's invalid because anyway, whatever.
If you can't deliver the paper.
I just wanted to bring out. I'm not talking. I was talking about what the verse is saying. It says Nasa biyada. He gave it in her hand, right? Not the other way around. She doesn't give it in his hand. So he has to precipitate just as he started the marriage. He has now the cutting off. He has to do. But let's say anyway. Okay, that's enough for now. That's enough.
The feminists are outraged, they are
Okay,
outraged.
they'll have to be outraged with God Almighty because the God Almighty in His Torah, this is what He says. You know, whether we understand it, don't understand it, whether we like it, don't like it, you know, the facts. I understand that it makes it a little difficult.
Does this mean that, in a sense, because it's written in the Torah, what the man has to do, that he's obligated to do it, or is he have a
Well,
choice?
therefore the halacha is
There are men who, for example, refuse to give the
right.
get.
So when the Jewish
And the
court,
woman is caught.
when the Jewish court has the strength, right, which it doesn't have today, right? It doesn't have the strength of the Jewish court today in Montreal or anywhere, even in Israel doesn't have the strength because there's a secular court that is above it, so it doesn't have its full strength. But when the Jewish court has its full strength, then they can give him lashes until he will give the get, until he says, I will give, right? So that is, in halacha, but difficulty today is it
Because,
doesn't have the
for
full
example,
strength.
We know some women.
Well, anyway,
who
Shimalei,
can't get married in a Jewish wedding.
Shimalei.
Because
Well, okay,
she has
Shimalei,
to
this
get-
is not spill your heart time now, okay? This is not spill your heart time.
That's not my heart. I'm
Okay,
just
no,
giving
okay,
a-
I know,
giving
but
a-
I'm
So
but-
you're
but
broken.
what I'm
You
explaining.
open the door, Rabbi.
No, but we're learning Chumash and Rashi, so I'm explaining
Right.
it in the Chumash.
All right, all right,
We're explaining it in the Chumash. That's what I'm doing.
okay.
Right? That's what, right? And let's be true to that. All I said previously is that
Right.
that today, if he finds something in her that was immoral, it doesn't mean that he has to divorce her today. And I just explained because it's time of Golus and the Torah is speaking and things are black and white when the Shekhinah is present and so on and so forth. That's all. Okay. Yatzami Beisai, verse number 2. You have a booklet? Well, there's a third booklet here. Where's the third booklet? Okay.
Probably has her own phone.
V'yatami Beisai, and she will leave his home, V'holcha, and she will go, V'haisa li shacher, and she will be for another man. Rashi in verse number 2, li shacher, another woman, Ein se ben zuga shel rishayim. This other man is not a match with the first husband. Hu haitzi resha miteich beis. So she removed a wicked woman from his house. V'zech nisa, and this one brought her in. Okay. Rashi's picking up on the words leish acher, another man. I mean, he's like not like this first man, right? Like it didn't have to say leish acher. Could have said like v'haisa leish Yisrael. Could have been that it was true. She was to a Jewish man. Why you have to say acher? Another, not like the first one. The first one, we said he had a mitzvah to send her away. Again, biblically, he had that mitzvah, right? And this one is an acher, like the other side, like sitter acher, we call the other side, right? So acher meaning on the other side of things, that he took away. So it's saying something against him, the second man who's taking her in.
His character is different.
Its moral character is different. Okay.
Yes.
Now, and how does further Rashi know this? Look at the next verse, 3, verse number 3. And the latter husband will hate her because of like Sefer Krisus. Second husband, we're talking second marriage now, right? And he will write for her a book of cutting off, meaning a bill of divorce. And he will place it in her hand. He will send her away from his house. Or when the second man will die, and that's in the middle of a sentence, so it's a comma, right? When the second husband dies, we'll go into the next verse and we'll see what that means. But let's go into Rashi now. 3. And the latter man hated her. So it's written in a funny way. Well, let's see Rashi. Torah is coming to inform us that in the end he's going to hate her. Right? Right? Otherwise,
she'll nag him to death.
don't put in your 2 cents, please. Why? Because she has an adulterous past. So in the end, he's going to hate her. And if he doesn't hate her, Rashi says, right, and he chooses to keep her as a wife, she will bury him. She will outlive him. Because it says, or he's going to die and leave her, right? So continuing with that thought, because the end of the verse says that he's going to die, right? Either he's going to keep her and he's going to die, right, before her. Then the next verse, but lo you. 1 second. Wait a second.
David,
1 second.
how these Danish? Can't give it away.
Right. Okay. So the latter man he's going to pass away. Now what's going to happen? Verse number 4. I hope you're following this. Lo yuchal ba'ila rishain. He cannot, the first husband, asher shilcha that he sent her away, lashuv lekachta, to return and to take her isha to be for him a wife. After she became defiled, because this is an abomination, Hashem, before God. Do not sin. Do not bring sin to the land. That Hashem your God, that Hashem your God is giving to you. So this is saying like this. What happened? She got married a second man. He passed away. This verse is coming to say that the first husband can't bring her back as a wife, right? She became defiled by marrying a second husband to him. She can marry a third husband, right? She can marry a third husband. But the first husband can't marry her after she married a second man. Very clear verse that says that. Okay, Rashi.
It's a very rare thing today also. It happens.
Yeah, I know someone that's.
I know someone also.
And once she has been defiled, the rabbi saita shenisra. This includes a saita who secluded herself with a man other than her husband. How's that, la rabbis? It's including. It's in other words. It seems like Rashi is saying that these, I don't know if these words are superfluous, not exactly clear.
You're reading Rashi, try to figure it out.
Yeah.
Maybe,
One second.
maybe she never,
One second. Give me a moment just to read over here. That's a very lengthy explanation over here. And we're going to leave it at that right now. Okay, let's take a moment and see if we have something here to share.
Thanks for being here, Shimon. Appreciate your company.
right?
I appreciate your company while learning. You enhance it for me.
Oh, there's some geschmacka things over here. We don't have time for, but so the Gemara brings Beishamai says on the Gemara of when a man will find in his wife a matter of immorality, right? So in the Gemara, or it's a free actually. Beis Shammai says that a man should not divorce his wife unless he found in her ervas davar, like the verse says, right? An immoral act, as the verse says. Beis Hillel says, even if she burnt his food for dinner. You hear that? Rabbi Akiva says, even if he finds a nicer woman more pretty than his wife, he can divorce, right? So Rabbi Akiva says, because it says she did not find favor in his eyes. He takes it from that part. Shammai takes it from Ervas Davar, right? And the verse says different things. And Hillel, I don't know where he takes it from. I'm not sure where he takes it from. Anyways, there's very interesting Sikha on the Rebbe from this, but we're not, it's too lengthy right now.
Thank you very much, Rabbi.
One second, your mother's still here.
I know, but I won't be. Too late to go to that meeting now.
Sister, so might as well stick around.
Half over.
Just take care.
Sorry, no, I have to go.
Take care.
See you guys. David, good to see you.
So the interesting how it says a man takes a woman, right? So this teaches us that a woman is acquired in marriage through money, because yikach means there's a taking over here, right? So you got to give something to take. So with money or with relations. So which means, how does she leave? The way she came in, she leaves. So can't be through relations that she's leaving, because she's leaving the marriage, right? They're getting divorced. So it means Oh, so when she leaves, how's she leaving? This verse says very clearly, with a document, right? With a bill of divorce. So from there we learn also then, just as she left, that's the way she can come in, that she can also get married with a bill of with a document, right? Today we only do it with money, the value of money, and that's called a ring. Right? That's how you affect the marriage. Anyways, lots of interesting stuff from what we learned. To go deeper into it. Maybe on Shabbos. All right. See you shortly. Bye.